Okay, next let's talk about prerequisite for the course and the course text. Well, according to the course catalog, successful completion of English 161, Academic Writing 2, Writing for Inquiry and Research, or if you are a transfer student, an equivalent are required for this course. Now, what does that mean? If you are currently taking 161, do not drop this course. We'll manage and get you through it. Quite frankly, English 161 is a good course, and I think it will help provide useful information to help you with your business written communication, but it's certainly not the only way to go. So again, if you've got it, great. If you don't, and you're currently taking it, fine. As far as a course text is concerned, we're not going to have one. Why? Well, quite simply, I find all of the business communication, managerial communication texts out there are mediocre at best. About 10% of it is useful information. The other 90% is what I would call filler. Probably because they really can't sell a textbook for $150 if it's only 30 pages. So again, I'm a little biased in this area. What I will do is provide you all your readings, and the viewings, videos in this case, will be provided to you by me. This is the information I think will help you. There's no filler, there's no frill in it. It's going to provide you what you need to know. And then based on that knowledge, we will proceed accordingly. Okay, let's move on now. Okay, onward. Special equipment and software. Well, yes, there is a specific requirement in software, computer equipment and software requirements. First of all, I want you all to bring at least one of the following to class, every class, either your laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone which you can connect to the internet. Why? Because you will be using it in this class. Now, if I, for example, ask a question and no one has the answer, I will say, look it up, folks. There will also be times where you'll be working on team projects where you will have to access, all of your team members will access a specific site, maybe a Google Doc, and work on it together. So if ideally, I would bring either a tablet or a laptop. If you're very good at using the smartphone and you can do a lot of, shall we say, typewritten work on it, that's fine to use. However, if you do bring your smartphones, put them in silent mode. If you have to text somebody, wait and save it for another class. One other final thought is if you must answer a text, you get a text, you get your little buzzer, your little, well, hopefully no tones, but you get a buzzing sound, and you look at it and you must answer it. Get up, simply walk out of the classroom, answer it, then come back. Don't do it in the classroom. That's quite disturbing. Next, access to a reliable, this is at home now, access to a reliable laptop or PC, computer, and internet connection. Preferably here, I'm really looking at the internet connection. Far too often, I hear students or receive emails from students, I was working on the middle of a quiz and my internet connection failed. Well, today, internet connections don't fail. If you're having a problem with your internet connection at home or where you do your schoolwork, go back to the university. The university, I think, has about a 99.9% success rate with its internet connection. So I really don't want to start receiving, oh, it failed, or something, I did something wrong. No, follow the directions. Also, do not use smartphones when completing quizzes and pre-discussion quizzes online. They are not terribly compatible with the Blackboard system. You may think you are answering, you may think you submit, and just to find that it is not working. I think a lot of the problem is also the Blackboard app. It works fine usually on laptops, PCs, and tablets, but for some reason it does not work very well with smartphones. So please keep that in mind also. Also, access to Microsoft Office. Now, in particular, Word, but you will also be using, possibly at some degree, PowerPoint as well as Excel. So you will need to have access to those. Also, a printer. Now, if you're relying on the university printers, well, they don't have a 99.9% accuracy rate. So, yeah, if you're going to print something up, I suggest you print it up the night before. So that way, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about long lines. You don't have to worry about printers being down. Let's see, what else I want to mention? Incompatible systems. What I'm talking about here is Macs. Now, the university is becoming more and more of the amount of users, students, faculty, staff that are using Mac systems and are paying more attention to it. However, things are still not perfect when converting from a PC-based environment to a Mac environment. So please, again, be cautious, be aware that there may be problems. My guess is if you have been using a Mac for other classes, you may have already run into them. So just please be aware. Again, there are no excuses for format issues or incomplete, missing, or late activities in this class. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's talk about course policies. Now, I'm assuming my course policies are probably no different than the other course policies, but let's go ahead and go through them just in case. First of all, this is an active learning course. If you are not actively participating, no guarantees about what your grade is going to look like. Now, what do we mean by active? Attendance. While I don't have an actual attendance policy, I can only tell you if you're not participating, your grade's going to suffer, which means if you're not in attendance, your grade will suffer. Now, if you're sick, you're ill, don't come to class, please. But if you decided, well, I think I'll take a day off, your call. But I guarantee you, your grade will suffer. Tardies. If you're running late, a lot of you commute. Blue line, red line, the trains, they run late and so on. So I would not worry about it. Go ahead, come on in, not worry about it. Let's just move on forward. Discussions. Join discussions in the classroom. Again, this is an active learning course. That's why I do not lecture. In the course, you will be talking as a group, individually. You'll be interacting with me. You'll be interacting with other students. You'll be doing in-classroom work, but you must be available for the discussions. If you read and watch the videos, you'll gain a tremendous amount of information, but you're not going to have understanding of it unless you're in the classroom. So come on in. Within the teams and online, complete all your assigned readings, viewings, and prep prior to class. Bring your questions on the assigned material to class. Don't assume. Again, extensive lectures aren't going to happen, or ain't going to happen, whatever. So let's move on. Directions. Follow all directions. Don't assume or interpret. If there's something you don't understand, send me an email. Eventually, you may just rely upon your team members, but always ask. If something doesn't make sense, ask about it, but don't wait till the last minute. Read all the Blackboard postings and information sheets immediately upon notification. Now, basically, every time I post something in the announcement sections, you're going to get a copy of that in your UIC email. I suggest as soon as you see that something from me, it'll always say BA 200 update or BA 200 activities, read it. Because if you miss something, if you wait too late to look at these things, you're going to miss out. So don't do that. Check it. I would check your email at least daily, possibly each morning, better yet. Homework. Okay, it is expected by the due date and time and the required formats as the case might be. Again, no exceptions. Late assignments will not be accepted. However, I may, at my discretion, review your late assignment for critique purposes. Homework submitted in a format other than the instructions will receive an automatic 10% point deduction. And we'll talk more about that when it comes to that. Cell phones, smartphones. Okay, we already talked a little bit about this, but again, if you are going to use your cell phones, your smartphones, as part of the communication, a part of the information gathering portion of the course, that's fine. But put them on silent mode. No ringing, no buzzing, no bells, no chirps, no whatevers. Now, again, if you happen to have it up there and you've got to respond to a text that you've seen, don't do it in the class. Simply get up, quietly walk out of the room, take care of your business, come on back in. No questions will be asked. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, laptops and tablets, yes, bring them to class. If you have a backpack, you feel comfortable with lugging it around, do it, because we will be using those in the classroom. Let's move on now. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this course is divided into 5 modules. Each module relates to a specific aspect of communication and the business communication process. The first deals with basic communication itself. We all know how to communicate. We know how to speak with someone, how to write with someone. We know how to understand. We know how to reply or to develop and apply some kind of response back to them. But it is necessary, it is highly important that we have a thorough understanding of a complete communication process for effective business communication. The second module deals with this concept of critical thinking and pre-writing. Now, we all know how to think. That's a given. You think 24/7, 365 days a year. Sometimes you think you know you're thinking, and sometimes you don't even have a clue. There's a difference between what we call subjective thought and critical thought. The problem is, for the most part, people do not use effectively critical thinking. They rely far too much on what we call subjective thought, on emotional, on gut response reactions, and unfortunately that leads us into problems. So we will be spending significant time in Module 2 and beyond when it comes to critical thinking. Next, we're going to talk about the pre-writing. The pre-writing is basically organizing these critical thoughts. After we've come up with a situation, a problem, we've come up with thoughts that help us resolve the issue, and then we organize these thoughts. This is the pre-writing component. Again, this is highly important for your success in this course. This will be, again, conducted in weeks 2 and 3. Again, there will be overflow, so it won't be exactly weeks 1 and 2, 2 and 3, but there will be some flow. This will give you kind of a guesstimate of what to expect. Module 3 deals with the basic writing. Now, the basic writing deals with the acceptable, efficient use of the English language. Now, I am not an English teacher. I've never aspired to become an English teacher. Frankly, I found English relatively boring in school. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, you have to have a very basic command of the use of the English language. Now, if English is not your strong suit, if you are English second language student, I'm not going to be able to help you much here. However, the university does have the Business Writing Center, which is Grant Hall. Also, the College of Business provides tutoring for BA 200, which we will talk more about. But you do need to have this basic understanding of writing and use of the English language. So this is where we will spend some time here. Next, we're going to move on into the guts, if you wish, of this course, and that'll be probably beginning in week 5, maybe a little sooner. We'll see how things go, but this is the business writing. Now, in this section, we are going to talk about the very basic written components, mediums, if you wish, that are used in business, and they are email, memorandum, letters, and reports. Okay, this is how these are the vehicles, these are the mediums that we use to communicate in written form within the business environment. Now, there are 3 specific modes, if you wish, that you will be using. Most of the writing you will do in business is what we consider routine. Asking questions, sending information, very basic information. The other 2, which you will use and need to have an understanding of how these work, are negative and persuasive messages. Again, these will probably represent a fairly small portion of all of your business writing, but again, you need to know how these work. So again, this will be in Module 4. Module 5 will be another large portion of the course, and this is what I label complex multi-level business communication. Now, in Module 4, you will learn how to write an email. You will learn how to write a memorandum, letter, and a report. This is one directional only. You may respond to something, you may request something, but again, that is very two-dimensional. In reality, in business, you will have what I consider complex multi-level communications. You may have one event which may have multiple individuals that you need to communicate with on multiple topics. This is the fundamentals of the course. This is where you need to be able to organize, keep track of everything, determine what is the best format to use, the best message mode to use, and again, this is where you will learn the realities of business communication here. So again, Module 5 will be a very important part of this course. There will be specific activities and assignments, yes, and there will be specific due dates that will be required. All of this information will be found in the modules section of the BA200 Blackboard site. Okay, points, course points. First of all, everything in this class is based on points, total points. So if there's 200 points at the end of the term, 180 to 200 will be an A. 160 to 179.99 will be a B, and so on and so on. There's no deviation, no rounding up, rounding down, and obviously no curve. So let's talk a little bit more. These are the areas that you will be receiving your points in. Every module and every subsection of a module will have pre-discussion questions. These are very short. They typically occur when you are assigned a reading or viewing or combinations of both, and you will complete these pre-discussion quizzes, if you wish, prior to the discussion at the next class time. That'll be about 5% of your total. Next are quizzes. These are end of module or subsection quizzes. They're more extensive and they're about 15%. Team peer evaluations. Now you will be evaluating each of your team members. There will be approximately 4, maybe 5, which will be held, and you will rate the activity, the involvement of each of your team members in a particular assignment or activity. Now the points, the average of the points that your other team members give you will be the points you earn. I have no input into these, so again, that's 10%. Next, the biggest chunk is 50%, and these are the individual application assignments. These are the assignments that you will do that will produce business communication, communiques in the various mediums that are available. More on that. And then finally, a final report. There is no final examination. There is a final report, a final activity, if you wish, and that will be due the very last class meeting of the term. Again, no final during finals week, and it has a value of 20%. Again, the above percentages are approximations. They may vary a little bit. Things happen. Final grades, again, are determined based on your total points. Again, no curves, no rounding up or rounding down. Points earned are posted in the course Blackboard site in your gradebook. You'll note in the Blackboard site there is a My Gradebook or a Gradebook menu. If you click that will take you right to your gradebook. It is your responsibility to review your grades in a timely manner. In other words, I will give you notification of when grades have been posted. You will have within up to 48 hours to review them. Now, if there is an issue with a grade, you don't know why, you don't understand, you want more clarification, within that 48 hours, you must email me to say, I'd like to discuss this. At that time, we will then set up an appointment, not necessarily within the 48 hours, but sometime within a near future on a face-to-face basis where we can sit down and talk about it. But again, this must occur, the notification to me must occur within the 48 hours. I won't discuss anything that occurs after that time. Extra credit, actually, it says not currently available, but we do have an extra credit activity. So what we will do, and I will mention this more probably in the first couple of weeks, it's nothing that I give, but it is an activity that the College of Business is involved with, which you can also be involved with. Alrighty, folks, that ends part 3. Let's move on now and take a look at video part number 4.